It is great to have you with us. Today, we're going off script and doing something completely new as a Father's Day special. And we're going to talk about a beautiful, heartfelt book, Grandpa Day. And this is great for grandparents everywhere. Today, I am joined by Perry Solomon, a proud grandfather of six who has turned years of one-on-one grandpa days into a guide for building stronger and lasting relationships with your grandkids. Hey, Perry, how are you today?
Gina, I'm doing great. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you today.
Oh, it's so great to have you. Now, for folks meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about Grandpa Day and give us a quick picture of your family?
Sure. I've got six wonderful grandchildren, three on the East Coast, three on the West Coast by me. They range from elementary school age all the way up to young adulthood, college student. And the beauty is that each one of the six has their own unique personality and their own way of seeing the world. Life as a grandfather is very busy, rewarding, and full of learning, both for me and for the grandkids. What I enjoy most is spending one-on-one time with each grandchild to learn about them, help them develop into the best people they can be, and transfer whatever I've learned in my life to them and help mentor them to be the best.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. So the book is a guide for modern grandfathers to help them understand how to relate to their grandkids, how to listen to them, which is very important, and how to take these learnings and use them to help mentor the grandchildren. It's amazing how much you can learn by carefully observing through active listening, paying attention, being present from your grandchildren to help them as they grow and develop.
Yeah, and you talk a lot about active listening. Do you want to tell our listeners what that means to you and what that is like in action?
Sure. So many years ago, my brother gave me a paper on active listening when I was in retail sales. In that, wow, he was never a business person. He was an academic. Um, he saw that I could use some help in understanding people around me and helping people make the right choices when they were shopping for their camera equipment or their hi-fi gear or whatever I was selling at the time. And so this paper outlined how to listen to people and hear what they were saying, not in terms of thinking about how you wanted to respond to them, which is what we as a habit normally do. Is we hear somebody talking, we're immediately trying to form a response to how we're going to answer what they're saying, as opposed to getting into their heads and seeing the world from their point of view and their perspective and understanding what they're trying to express. And through that learning, I was able to apply it to the grandkids many years later and understand who they were as young children. And it's just astonishing how much you can learn from a 3-year-old about their perspective of life. And it's so interesting to me that even at those early ages, that their view of the world remains fairly consistent into their adult life. And by being able to get into their heads and truly listen and understand what they were saying and where they were coming from, I could appreciate the unique personality that each one of the six has and cater to their needs and their desires and find their passions and help develop their passions.
What were some of the most fun passions that you helped develop as you were processing through being a grandparent?
Oh, so my one of my very favorite stories is my granddaughter Serena, at age 3. One of her favorite places to go for brunch, and by the way, meals are very important to me, in that I think the two best places to listen to your grandchildren and understand them are the car, where it's an isolated environment and it's just the two of you, and over a meal. And again, you're face to face, it's the two of you, you're in intense conversation. That goes great. So her favorite place to go for brunch at the time, 3 years old, was a restaurant called the Proud Bird. And it's alongside the Los Angeles International Airport landing strip, the tarmac. So you can see the planes come in, you can land, you can see them take off. She just loved that. And their buffet had a dessert that was a chocolate fountain. I held her up by her waist so she could take the skewer and jab it into a strawberry and dip it into the chocolate. And she was so delighted at that experience. And I sensed that this was something different from everything else I have seen her do. That this had somehow resonated in a way with her that was unlike anything I have ever seen from her before. I just had a sense. And fortunately, I took a picture. I held up my camera, my phone, and took a picture. So I still have that picture today. It wasn't a great picture, but it was a picture of a moment that was truly pivotal in her life. As it turns out, she became passionate about chocolate. We toured over the years virtually every craft chocolatier in Southern California. And that included kitchen tours. Then we started going to chocolate festivals and ultimately, and it's a long story, but she became known in the craft chocolate industry as the future of craft chocolate.
Oh,
So it's a wonderful story. That's chapter 6 in the book, and just amazing at how being so focused on the moment and understanding what that meant to her, and to be able to mentor her to the point that she's at today is just an astonishing accomplishment, both for her and for me.
oh yeah. And that's so wonderful that you were able to do those things and spend that time together.
Yes. In fact, recently we took a 1 week trip to Amsterdam
Oh my.
for Chocoa conference, which had folks attending from 50 different countries. And she was out there with her business cards at age 13, handing out business cards and striking up conversations with folks, including the CEO of a global NGO on fair trade. And just amazing to see how she's developed over the years.
Oh, it's wonderful. And it says a lot about your grandparenting, that she has the confidence and the capability to do these things.
Well, thank you. And I can tell you that each little accomplishment along the way, in terms of the mentoring and the active listening, understanding and nurturing, uh, gave me more confidence to take a more active role moving forward. And there's no greater joy in my life than the time I spend with my grandchildren.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And were you afraid when you first found out you were going to be a grandfather? Were there concerns?
I was terrified, absolutely terrified. So when the first grandchild, my granddaughter that's going to college on the East Coast now, a Division I soccer player, when she was only a month or two old, her parents had to go to a conference out of town, and we babysat my wife and myself for her. And my wife is an amazing force of nature. She put Cassie into her hammock. She had a sleep hammock, and Cassie went to sleep. And then uh, I was nervous the whole night as to what was going to happen when she woke up the next morning and realized that her mother and father weren't there. I was absolutely terrified. And in the morning, I heard a little wrestling. I jumped out of bed, stood over the hammock, and watched her as she opened her eyes. And I was expecting her to start screaming right away. I had no idea how to handle that. And instead, she opened her eyes and gave me the widest, most beautiful smile that just melted my heart. And that's the moment when I realized that being a grandfather was something very special, an opportunity that I had, and that I probably should pay some attention and not miss the opportunity that's provided.
Yes. And how did you start on your grandpa days?
So, when my daughter was in the process of giving birth to her second child on the West Coast, um, I took Felix, the eldest on the West Coast, for the day, and had him in his stroller. We were on Venice, a wonderful street in Venice, California, that has all kinds of lovely shops and restaurants. We just spent the day strolling, going into stores, uh, having a meal together. It was just a lovely day. And that was the very beginning of Grandpa Day. It was my first one-on-one day with a grandchild. And it was such a joy. And he enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed it so much. It was a delight.
Oh, I can imagine. And why did you decide to put it in book form?
Well, that's a great question. I have talked to a number of men, including my own brother, who struggled with how to relate to their grandchildren and just didn't know, and saw how much joy I got from my grandchildren and expressed to me, boy, I don't know how you do it. How do you have this relationship, this remarkable relationship with your grandchildren? I just don't even know how to talk to them. I don't know how to relate to them. And it was apparent to me that I had something that I didn't even realize I had, which was a series of systems and processes, methods to communicate with the grandchildren, to actively listen to what they were saying, to understand them, and to nurture them in a way that leveraged everything I had learned about active listening and everything that I have learned about mentoring over the years in my business career. I could now apply to the grandchildren. And that was a story that clearly needed to be told. I have no visions, Gina, of being a world famous author. I'm definitely not. I have no visions of Grandpa Day being the #1 New York Times bestseller. Yeah, true, it's bestseller on Amazon, but that's a different story. um, my goal is just to help others get the joy and deliver the value that I have been able to do for their grandchildren and to help nurture the next generation, right? So it's a legacy that is far more important. Sure, grandfathers over time, when they've been financially able, have contributed to the financial well being of the family. I get that, but that's not nearly as important as the true value they can give by imparting the wisdom that they've learned in their life to the next generation, to their grandchildren. That's the true value. That far transcends any monetary value that they might be able to give their grandkids.
I love that. And I love how in the book you share that it's not a lecture. It's just short snippets of attention span, things that apply to the situation.
Correct. Those short snippets over time are like compound interest. And the value that the grandkids receive from it is priceless. An example is my eldest granddaughter, Cassie, on the East Coast, and I send text messages to each other every evening. And it's so nice to be able to see how she's developed over the years and matured, and what an amazing human being she is. And through our communicating back and forth, it's just a delight to be able to contribute to her success. She's an amazing person. And I just take such great joy in whatever small impact I may have had in helping her achieve the success that she has achieved.
That's so sweet. Now, what does a grandpa day look like in your family? And I know it's different for the kids that are close and the ones that are far away. So let's start with the ones that are close.
Sure. So I alternate one kid, one day on a weekend. So one weekend day is devoted to Grandpa Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I rotate mostly between the two eldest on the West Coast. The youngest, the eight-year-old granddaughter, is very attached to her grandmother, my wife.
Yeah.
And I do have the rare opportunity of getting her off for a grandpa day, getting her out for a grandpa day. But most of the time are with the two eldest, and we rotate. And it centers around two things usually: a meal and an activity.
Yeah.
So I'm very big on meals, and I let them choose where they want to eat, what they want to eat. And it's interesting when they're very young, at 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, they don't have quite the view of the world to know where they want to eat, right? So I will give them maybe 3 or 4 choices and let them pick one. So they're deciding. The key is that kids, when they're at home with the parents, they don't get to make a lot of decisions. When they're in nursery school at the early age, they don't get to make a lot of decisions. When they're with me, I like to give them the opportunity to make as many decisions as possible and where they desire it, guide them, but not ever decide for them. Mm-hmm. I have a mission of having every one of my 6 grandchildren, to the extent that I'm capable, be very involved in critical thinking. My sense is that one of the greatest skills missing in youth today are critical thinking skills. And it gives me great pain that so many of our youth are unprepared to do the analysis and evaluation, to critically think about things. That pains me greatly. So it's one of my missions in life is to help the grandkids understand the value of critical thinking. And this is one of the ways that we do that. So when we sit down for a meal, and by the way, my wife accuses me when people ask me what time it is, I tell them how the watch is made. So Gina, if I go on too long, feel free to let me know. But in any event, we sit down for a meal, and the process is very simple. We start by my talking about a mistake that I made since our last breakfast or brunch or dinner, and what I learned from that mistake, and then how I helped a friend or family member or a stranger with something that they were struggling with. And then it's the kids' turn to tell me what mistake they made, what they learned from it, and how they helped a friend, a schoolmate, or whatever. And the key here is that they need permission to make mistakes like we all do, and understand that there's no crime in making mistakes as long as nobody gets hurt, you or anyone else, and you learn from it. So that's really important to me, that they learn from their mistakes and they understand that making mistakes is a normal part of the human learning process. There are 2 authors that I follow very closely. One is Angela Duckworth with her book on grit, which I think is amazing and very important for the grandkids. And I believe they've all read it now. And the other is Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. And Growth Mindset talks about how we learn and how we're able to learn. And through the process of learning, we develop. And Grit by Angela Duckworth talks about the power of perseverance and passion to achieve long-term goals. And I feel both of those are critically important. We talk about them a lot.
Yes. And how do you connect with and mentor your grandchildren that are on the East Coast? Because a long distance relationship can be difficult.
It is. So we do Zoom sessions. Of course, during COVID, we did Zoom sessions. We text message, and we spend one-on-one time either when we travel to the East Coast, as we're doing in another 2 weeks, and They come out to the West Coast. So through a combination of text messaging, phone calls, Zoom sessions, we're able to keep up and keep the communication going.
That's wonderful. And so, what do you suggest for grandparents that are new to this and scared to death? I mean, besides reading the book, I mean, that's step one, right?
Understood. So uh, I would strongly encourage
Mhm.
setting aside time to be present, to show up, and to be present, if possible, in a one on one situation. So you're giving them undivided attention, not distracted by other family members or ambient noise, if you will. Meals are great. Walks in the park are great. Uh, Museums, uh, wonderful. And just spending that one on one time and focusing not on telling them what to do as much as listening to them and learning who they are and what their desires are, what their passions are, and trying to understand the world from their eyes, from their perspective. That's the best starting place in my mind.
Yes. And it doesn't need to cost a lot of money either.
Correct. That walk in the park is just as valuable as spending money on a trip somewhere. It's not where you go. It's not necessarily what you do, and it's certainly not how much money you spend. It's your time. It's showing up. It's being there for them. It's listening to them, like most people don't do with their grandkids. And by dedicating that very focused one on one time and listening to them, you're giving them something that is such a rare commodity. And they are so grateful that they have somebody that's actually paying attention to them and them alone, that the dividends that come from that are just terrific.
I think especially if they have siblings, um, because siblings very rarely get one-on-one time with anyone.
Yes, that is so true. The family dynamic tends to be very active, very noisy, and not very focused. So to be able to focus all that energy and attention on them and to listen to them and let them know that they're heard, that they're understood, that you care about them, that you love them unconditionally is so valuable. And my daughter, uh, two things that stand out. My daughter, the first time I took Felix out for that lovely day in Venice, California, said, "Don't worry, you're not going to break them." That was really helpful because obviously I was concerned with my first one-on-one day with Felix, and yeah, so uh, in any event, um, we just need to be present, be there, and listen to them. My grandson said, "Oh my, not grandson. I'm sorry, my son-in-law said, all my kids want to know is that they're loved.
Yes.
And it's so true. I come from a family where it was so reserved and so conservative that I can't remember a parent or grandparent ever telling me they love me, you know? And I don't want my grandkids to not understand how much they're loved and how much they're cared for. I want them to know it and to feel it in their bones.
That's so wonderful. And if you have a message to give to any new or upcoming grandparents or ones who feel like they're failing, what message would you give to them?
So I think the biggest message is that Grandpa Day isn't about the grandfathers. It's about helping the children, the grandchildren feel seen, valued, heard. And you, as the grandfather, are the vehicle to help that happen. That's the number one takeaway, I think. And the joy that you can receive from that is priceless. There is no greater joy for me than being a grandparent.
That is wonderful. And I know I can't wait until I get my turn too.
Excellent, Gina.
Partners in Crime, thanks for joining us today. If you haven't read it yet, trust me, Grandpa Day is the book for you. And if you know a grandparent, are going to be a grandparent, or love a grandparent, you definitely want to share this. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.